You might never get another chance to catch this. In case you're wondering who's the realest. The name of a winner.
The Dream 3 podcast, episode number 31. We're here with season 2. Today we're talking game use patch autos with five-star collector Zach. Can't wait to get after it. Let's go. So we're back at it. Episode number 31. Got a big episode going on today. A lot of stuff going on. Did you watch last night Golden and Drake pull the 86 Fleer box? And then the case
you showed me. I don't think what time did that start? Like 9 or 10?
Like 10 o'clock, because I think they pulled basically all night, because they had a sealed box of 86 Fleer, and then he had like 10 cases of Flawless.
Yeah. He hit one MJ, right?
He hit one MJ, and then in the Flawless, he got a logo man. He got a 101 logo man. Nobody's super special. I can't. Oh, Penny Hardaway.
Oh, that's better than Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, or Porzingis or something like that.
Was it game used or was it just a?
That I don't know. I would say Penny Hardaway. Probably not game used, especially if it's the.
Did you see the logo itself? Did it look like?
Well, it was probably Penny Hard. Now that I think about it, it's Penny Hardaway Jr. Be my guess.
Tim Hardaway?
No, is it?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking.
I thought Penny Hardaway had a son that was in the NBA, currently in the NBA.
I don't know. I know Tim Hardaway Jr. is still in the NBA.
That could be who
I don't know if Penny.
I don't know.
I
know they ripped all night long, so I was definitely not going to stay up with it because I was too busy watching Will Smith smack Chris Rock out the face.
Yeah. Some of that, I've seen some people be like, "Oh yeah, good job, Will Smith," but I've also seen some people be like, "This kind of looks funky and staged and kind of a little." Out of, I don't know.
It's a weird situation. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Will Smith's lost his mind for forever. So,
talk about a pursuit of happiness gone wrong.
Yeah. So, big thing over the last season of the podcast, we talk about our love not just on graded cards, but chasing game use patch auto cards, because there's something really kind of connecting us to those cards as they're game used. It's not, like you've said in the past, it's not some napkin that they picked up and slapped in there as a piece of a patch. But so we have on the podcast tonight someone who probably has one of the sickest game used collections you've ever seen.
I'm trying to get him on right now. He's
on right now. He's in the green room.
Oh, he is.
So if no further ado, we will bring on Zach, aka FiveStarCollector on Instagram. Zach, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good,
there
man.
He is.
Totally forgot. I'm not used to Eastern time. I live in Central time.
That will happen. But first off, thanks for coming on. If you could kind of give a little insight on your card background, like how did you start, what got you into cards, and kind of building your collection as of today.
So I got into cards probably when I was like, I don't know, 8 or 10 years old. Back when I was a kid, buying, my parents would take me to like a Kmart or a Target, a Shopko back when we had those around us. Buy a pack here and there, and that kind of got me hooked on the baseball card side of things. I still do baseball cards now. Then I kind of just evolved from, buying. I thought base cards are super cool, inserts, refractors, stuff like that, and then I kind of evolved into buying like sticker autos and then moving to on-card autos. And then over probably like last 6 years, I've really got into the game used patch auto side of things for all three major sports for right now. And that's kind of what I really strategically only do is the legend guys. I don't really ever go for current players unless they're on the track for Hall of Fame level.
Patrick Mahomes on the track for Hall of Fame level?
Yeah, he is. He's stupid. He doesn't have any game used stuff, so I can't buy anything.
Did you see Keenan Allen post right after the Tyreek Hill trade? He was basically like, "Oh, now they're going to expose the real truth." Like I've heard some conspiracy theorists like say like Patrick Mahomes is the guy that is going to get exposed because Tyreek and Kelsey are so talented, and it's kind of like, is he going to be that good? Is he good? Like,
I think Mahomes,
Zach, you were a Seahawks fan, right?
yeah, right now it sucks to be a Seahawks fan.
Are you a Russ fan though?
I was a big Russ fan, but over the last couple of years, kind of got on my nerves because he holds onto the ball too long. Like you can't expect your offensive line to block for you for 15 seconds if you're going to run around the whole time. And it's not like we didn't have weapons. Like we got weapons. All we did was run deep routes, and I can't stand Pete Carroll for the life of me. I wish he would be gone as a coach. I'm not a fan.
What's funny about that is like, it sounds like a red team by the name of like Kansas City. You got a quarterback just runs around all the time, chucks the ball deep whenever he, can't find anybody open. And somehow Tyreek Hill just runs underneath the ball. Interesting.
Well, Tyreek's hard because he's hard to blanket coverage him. But you can't pay Tyreek $30 million a year and expect to have Mahomes get max money too.
Yeah.
Like that's just what Devonta Adams kind of screwed that whole market up big time, taking that max deal. Now Tyreek wants a max deal.
Yeah, Christian Kirk screwed that market up.
Yeah, how was that dude worth?
Jacksonville paid him $20 million a year.
$21 million a year for a number 3.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly.
That
Christian Kirk.
Whoever his agent is deserves to get like 20% of that cut and probably just sit on that.
That agent deserves to get like 15 million of that. Like Jesus.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk for $21 million a year.
Christian Kirk probably isn't worth $21 million, period, let alone a year.
Jacksonville's weird. They're that weird franchise that just pays random dudes a crazy amount of money.
Yeah. Like Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that didn't work out very well.
Yeah.
No.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the what you post a lot on your your Instagram page, some of the cards that you got on there.
Well, right, I'm slowly trying to post everything that I have. I mean, probably have about a quarter of my collection posted right now. But I mean, I kind of just go with the whim of it. Whatever I feel like posting, I'll post. But all the stuff on there is a lot of my favorite cards, whether it's the Reggie White, like we were talking about before, and then, I mean, I wish I could have some of the other players I don't have, but a lot of the times I just post off the whim. I mean, probably my favorite cards on my page are my Moss Flawless is probably one of my favorite cards on there. I mean, it's like there's so many cards on my page that it's hard to pick a favorite one out of them all.
Yeah. And all of them are game used, game worn stuff, right?
Yeah, no player worn stuff. I mean,
you don't like napkins?
Nah, no. I mean, if it's a game used napkin, maybe. But
so
hot dog stain.
Zach, what's your process when you go through and you're deciding, what card that you want to pick up? Obviously, it has to be game used, but kind of what is your criteria of what you're looking for? Flawless, national treasures, immaculate, impeccable. Does that specifically matter, or is it more player and patch?
Well, it depends on I guess first of all, it depends on the player. There's a lot of the times if a player doesn't have, whether it's a flawless, immaculate, NT, impeccable, stuff like a lot of the players, some of the older guys don't have any on-card versions of them, but they have like now. So sometimes like I'll settle for a sticker autograph if the patch is really nice, or if the player's extremely rare. Like the John Randall I posted has very little game used stuff at all out there, and everything that's game worn is sticker auto. So I'll settle for that if it's that they're the rare type of players. But if it's like a current guy that has a decent amount of on card stuff out there, that's the number one thing I'll go for, is try to get an on card. I prefer immaculate more over flawless, but I think I have more flawless than I do immaculate, but they're both phenomenal brands. And some of the older Upper Deck stuff like Ultimate Collection, Exquisite, is really nice as well.
Now you sent me, we were texting back and forth earlier today. You sent me some pictures of some 2003 Leaf certified.
Yeah, that's a great set. I like that set.
Who all are in that? You sent me 3, but I'm sure there's more.
There's a ton of I think there's a ton of different players. They're all numbered to their jersey number. So there's a guy on Instagram that's trying to do that whole set, Charm City Tim. So there's some players that if they have their jersey number to like 1, they're 1-on-1s in the set. You probably will never find them because maybe there's a set collector that did that set, or maybe they're stuck in a box still, whether 18, 19 years later. But a lot of there's like Bart Stars in that set. Reggie White's probably the biggest one in that set because that's probably one of the only sets you can find a 3-color game used patch auto of him from that set. There's so many different players. Like I have Joe Green, Deacon Jones, Reggie White, Richard Dent, and I have a Mel Blunt as well too.
Yeah, I think the sad part about that is like a lot of those guys are dead. So
most of them,
like,
a lot of them now.
Yeah, so like a lot of the stuff out of that 2003 Leaf Certified you showed me, like those guys are dead. They only ever signed a little bit, and like when cards started really picking up, and then they're gone, and they don't have any more. They're not signing anymore.
No.
That stuff's just hard to find. Yeah,
and I feel like a lot of the players nowadays, a lot of people don't like to focus on the legend stuff. Like I prefer the legends over the current guys. I mean, I love watching football on Sunday or watching basketball, baseball all day long for all the current guys. But everybody forgets about the legends, the people that paved the way, and they sell for pennies on the dollar compared to current players, which is just nuts to me. I'll pick up a Reggie White for $1,000 all day long over picking up, maybe a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen right now that sell for probably 20, 50, 30, 50 times that.
Now, do you think part of that is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you think part of that is the fact that, you think part of that could be the fact that people are in it for the money now? More is probably when you started collecting, a lot of it was just purely collectors, right?
I feel like there's not a lot of like true collectors that are coming into the hobby for their sole reason of having the card and not just having all the money you can get. A lot of the people, they want a card and like, oh, how can I double my money, make my money right away? So it's like I was never that way. I mean, I've flipped cards here and there to maybe upgrade or pay for some stuff, personal stuff along the way. But like my goal when buying a card is never to I'm buying this card and I want to sell it down like a month later. Like that's just never how I operate with cards. I feel like a lot of the people that are coming in, all these big time celebrities or hype accounts are coming in here, like buy this, buy that. So all their followers are following in suit. I'm like, just collect what you want. Don't have anybody tell you what you want to collect. Then you're just not going to like it because then these guys are playing these pump and dump schemes. Like, oh yeah, buy John Morant because they got like 100 John Morants they're going to sell once they pump it up. I'm like, come on, just do what you got to do, what you want to do for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. Especially me being a huge football fan. Like when I'm going through, I'm looking for players that bring back memories of me watching them play. For example, I found, pennies on the dollar. I found an exquisite, I think it was 05, exquisite Algae Crumpler and Antonio Gates game used patch auto duels.
Yeah.
So I was like, for, it's not any more than $250. Like you said, I'll snatch that stuff up all day. Mm-hmm. It might not resell for $1,000 or even more than what I bought it for, but it's personal to me because I remember watching Algae Crumpler, watching Antonio Gates. So that's kind of my theory when I'm starting to pick up game used patch autos, and they're harder and harder to find. They're not getting in the newer products. So Zach, what's your thoughts of because everybody's starting to focus towards the Fanatics deal? Are we thinking that Fanatics is going to do game used stuff, or are we going to try to gobble up as much game used stuff from the past as we can to hold on for the future because we don't know if it's going to come back or not?
I might be in the minority here, but I don't think Fanatics is going to be putting out a ton of game used stuff. I don't see the point of them buying all the jerseys now. If they're going to have the Mitchell and Ness, which is just they can just get the jersey off the rack and save all the money they can. You can see all the player worn sales that go for crazy amount of money. Where I have no idea why. Like a player worn Joe Montana sells for damn near the same amount of money as a game worn. I'm like, what does that give them an incentive to go try to get a game worn jersey of a Joe Montana or a Brett Favre? Like when you get the Mitchell and Ness license, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the minority with it. I hope there's game worn, but then if there's not, then I guess game worn is just going to keep going up and up and up. and that just sucks for me. And like I can't go, not gonna be able to afford a lot of this stuff anymore.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You know, part of that might be the fact that like Panini showed the way that you can make money still and lower your costs by buying these player worn or buying these napkins or jerseys, these crappy jerseys, and then just throwing them on players and then saying, oh yeah, it's player worn. So, and then just cutting pieces out rather than actually buying a jersey from the actual game that has like meaning to the actual game. It costs more. So from like a production standpoint, why even take the risk? Why put more effort into a product when you know you're going to get pretty much 75% of what the true value is of a game worn? You get 75% at player worn. You might as well just take it, right?
Yeah.
Besides, like the hobby's big enough that there's they've brainwashed everybody into believing this player worn stuff and these no non-associated specific event napkins mean something. And if you get a hobby to believe in it, then why even try?
I wish more people would bring an uproar to it, but obviously they're not, because everybody's still buying the boxes, they're still buying the singles. It just sucks because Panini opened that can of worms of player worn. Topps did it a little bit when they had the football license their last year, but I mean, Topps is weird with their wording, because they put game used on the front of their card, and then on the back it says it's not from any specific game, event, or season. So it's like a double-edged sword there. But like, I still think it looks game worn. And I mean, that says it on the front. I just don't show the back sometimes if it comes to that. But I don't know. Panini they make some really good products along their way, but they've watered down with a ton of their products. It's like the game use stuff is like now in the last like 2 or 3 years, it is few and far between. It's like random guys, whether it's like Chris Johnson was game worn. You find like maybe like 1 or 2 Favres that are game worn. It's like you look through the checklist, you see all these legends, and like 95% of them are all player worn, which just sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, when I go through at nights and kind of that's what I'm scrolling for, and if the person doesn't have a picture of the back of the card, I'm just going to scroll right away, and I hate that.
God,
you can almost tell now. Like you can almost tell. Like me, you, and Caleb, we can tell now like what is game worn and what's not. Like there's a specific look to it that you're like, okay, I know that's probably game worn.
Like if it's a triple patch, like for example, a Dick Buckus triple patch, and I'm just like, it's too clean to be ever game worn.
That Bears jersey better be ratted, man. That's got to have some blood or wear and tear on that thing to be game worn.
It's got to have that trashy paint chips and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Dugenet does have a good point. And so how do we, and I would say, us as game use guys, how do we get folks to change the thought process of, what, this player worn type stuff is not good for the hobby? You look at the picture of, who was it? The running back for the Saints. Now it was it's with the Ravens.
Mark Ingram.
Oh,
yeah, the picture of Mark
wearing all the shirts,
all the jerseys on there.
Yep.
And that is considered player worn. So he's put on 400 jerseys and he just takes them off one by one. So how do you get the hobby, not even as a whole, but the certain sectors to start going, you know what? Even though the flawless player worn logo man sells for $500,000, and you could get a game worn for 100,000 or less. Like, how do we get people to realize that the game worn should be flip flop there?
That's a tough one. I feel like it's going to have to come with numbers. I mean, it's going to be hard for a lot of the people like me, or like collectors in general, to try to change Panini's mind in it when they're in it for the money. If it saves them money, makes them more money on their products, they have no incentive to change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like it's going to have to come down to people not buying boxes, or not getting into group breaks, maybe not buying singles on the open market. But that's a tough one to try to get Panini to change with it. They were really good in the beginning when they first took over the football license, and they were pretty much all game worn in basketball. I don't know if that's because they have an exclusive license with certain parts of that sport, but they can't do it with the NFL. Like it seems like all the current guys in NBA are all game worn, and barely any of the current NFL guys, are really at all game worn. It's like very few and far between there. That's a tough one. I don't think there's anything like on a micro level we can do. Is on a macro level, you got to get maybe thousands of people to get on Panini's ass about it, but they have no really incentive to change.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I'm not sure what the answer is. What I can think of is just off the top of my head, hype beasts. I mean, it's got to take one big whale or two big whales in the hobby to just pump it. And I hate to use that term as a pump and dump, but like maybe it's kind of like two big whales to show the appreciation of a certain card. Like the example I can give you is the Super Bowl autos, right? So the Tom Brady Super Bowl autos, the one that just sold on only alt for $111,000.
Yeah.
You could buy that card 2 years ago for like $4,000 or $5,000. You could buy it last year. You could buy it probably at the beginning of this year, like this time last year. You could probably buy that right around 10 grand. So, but it took a couple of people buying it, a couple of people promoting it. It took some bigger whales in the hobby to start looking at those, and when they did that, it trickled down. So like Nate from Grand Slam Collectibles, who sells tons of money or sells tons of cards and makes a ton of money for the hobby.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who bought one. And then you have like MC Sports. I think he bought one. MC Sports cards, and maybe even like Nady All-Star Sports Cards 23. Nady Russell, he might have had one. But it takes like some of these other well-known guys in the hobby to maybe try to boost that stuff up. The other thing is, basketball has 82 games at play, right? So from a rookie standpoint, you can, or non-rookie standpoint, you can get game-worn jerseys a lot easier with 82 games comparatively to 17 games with
that's true.
Football. And let's say like one of those games, Aaron Rodgers throws for 600 yards. That game, that jersey is probably going to Canton, and no one will ever see it. So stuff like that is going to happen where you just won't see the jerseys anymore.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So from just like a pure number standpoint, it's almost like you wouldn't be able to find those jerseys either.
I think Panini could also do a better job of, if you go onto their YouTube page, which is, I'll be honest, their YouTube page is pretty trash. And because they don't update it and they don't make videos. But if you scroll back to their earlier videos of, how did they obtain this Chris Chelios stick and put it into a card? How did they obtain this game-used jersey where it shows the player signing it off, handing it to the Panini representative? I think if Panini backed their social media game instead of just printing cards and showing stuff like that and influencers and whatever, break it down how the process works. That's what a lot of people and newer people are more interested in than anything else. How is the card made? How do I get the jerseys? Because who showed it? Was it Topps showing the breaking down of the helmet for the patch cards? Like that was pretty dope. Like I've never seen a batter helmet broke down like that. So I think if more people got a behind the scenes look at stuff like that, it could help a little bit of a boost, and it makes card hunters go, oh man, that came right off of Chris Chelios's back, or insert player there. I want to try to find that card in that set.
Yeah, I think if Panini did a little more of behind the scenes action of how, the process of putting a game used jersey in a card, and even going back to buying the jersey and showing the collectors that little little tidbit. You don't have to do it for every single player, but here and there for each main big time mainstream product, show that little behind the scenes of how you got this game worn jersey, how you decided to cut it up into the cards, and how you distribute it in the boxes. I know they showed like a video a few years back with they cut up a game used Pete Maravich jersey on YouTube and showed the process of that. But I mean, they don't do it at all, and I don't know if it's because maybe they don't get the game used jerseys at all, or if it's maybe there's some shady things going on. But they're behind the scenes would probably help a lot, and maybe would even bring more attention to that. Like maybe we got to get rid of this player worn stuff with how popular game worn is.
Yeah, the problem is Panini is terrible at customer service.
Yep.
From the start. So what's to say they're actually going to try and promote something on their actual website or on their YouTube or anything else?
But then if you're smart and if you're at Fanatics and you're acquiring the licenses, why not negotiate a minimum one game worn jersey per player throughout the season for each league? That's all in negotiation. If let's say you obtain the license and, it's a what's Fanatics, a $7 billion company?
No, more than that. They're like close to 30 now, 30 billion.
They're crazy. They're crazy.
So if you have to buy X NFL jerseys, what's another $2-3 million when you're already spending, on the billions a year? Like, when we had Chris on, anytime Chris wanted to give away a jersey, he has to pay the team $250. So if I'm buying, jerseys at $250 game worn, to a company like Fanatics, that's nothing. But you go on eBay and you look at all these resellers or inside guys who have ties to the team that can get game worn jerseys. Like, trust me, if I wanted to, I could get game worn stuff from the Colts and from the Raiders all day long. But, if I don't know why the card companies aren't like, if these teams are selling them out the back door, their pro shops, et cetera, like that, why can't I buy them up?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I guess Panini's just cheap with that. I mean, they want to do it the cheapest way as possible, and they don't really have any incentive to change. It kind of sucks. I mean, it's not, you can go on any team website and you can buy game worn stuff from any game, playoff games. You can go on there, buy it for yourself. It might be high price, but I mean, I'm sure Panini could work out a deal to where they can get it from the team for a lot cheaper price. But I don't know why they do it. Don't do it. It's crazy to me.
I'm surprised that Leaf puts more effort into stuff like this than Panini does, because you look at products like Leaf Pearl. A lot of their hockey stuff is really great. And, my favorite product is the Muhammad Ali stuff. And, they have fight worn shorts.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that's not a prized possession for any Ali collector. But if you look at a lot of Panini's stuff, it's all game used, game worn. Like, I picked up a Fall Classics, a 2021 Fall Classics, and it had game used bats from Albert Pujols, from David Ortiz, from these 6 great guys. Like, how is that not just like clicking in your head? Like, let's obtain it. And I've talked to not Brian. Well, I did meet Brian Gray at the Nationals. Smash introduced me to him. But I had a meeting with his vice president a couple months ago, and talking to them about how they're acquiring licenses and how they have to do it. Like, they picked up Holland. That's the biggest deal that they've ever made. I hate to think what they paid to do that, but
do you think that's part of that's their reason why they need to, like, that's their way of staying in the market?
Oh, for sure. Because they can specifically go to one single person, like, and I'm sure people are watching this that I'm going to, spoil the news for, that, I was doing the drag racing thing with Leaf. So I was having the conversations with Leaf to get them involved with NHRA. So if you you have to go to each individual person and sign a licensing agreement. So
is that just with the NHRA because they don't have a association, a drivers association?
Correct.
Okay.
But if you think of like soccer, baseball, Leaf is out there to do individual deals with anybody. That's how they see their business model. So like I told them, like, hey, if you want to sign Cruz, I'll give you a race worn fire suit to put it in there. So we can keep everything race worn, because, as a collector, I know what collectors really, really want.
Yep.
So, that's the way I think Leaf stays in the game that way and makes their product not better per se, but more like you kind of second glance at it like, yeah, maybe I'll pick it up, even though it doesn't have the team logos and stuff like that.
Well, you bring up a good point. When you're able to sign big name stars, or you're able to get just ink on a cardboard, you're going to increase the value. So, like, what sells really well is Leaf Floyd Mayweather autos or patch autos, because Floyd doesn't sign a lot and he has an exclusive deal with Leaf. So you get someone like that who people love in boxing because he's probably the only guy who really signs in boxing, and he probably considered
Tyson Fury is the only other one. And he's
time.
Tyson Fury's got Leaf. His first card was with Topps because I have that. And then his second one, I think he's exclusively to Leaf now.
Yeah. So I mean, you sign big names like that. It brings a little more attention to a Leaf product that may, from the most part, not get the same amount of love.
That, and I think I feel that it's more a personal connection. Like if we had a one-on-one deal, and you asked for a starting line shirt, a fire suit, or if I'm a boxer, trunks, boxing gloves that I could use in the card. If I have that one-on-one personal relationship, instead of like, Panini, the NFL Players Association comes to me and say, hey, if you sign this, you're going to get some money back for selling these trading cards. Okay. Because that's like what Chris did. Like when Chris told us, his agent came to him and said, hey, Panini wants to put you on a card. They're going to send you X amount of cards. You got to sign these all day. Because you remember he told us that, he was signing stickers just constantly. Because I don't believe he has any on-card autos. They're all stickers. But, to me, if Leaf's making that personal connection to make the athlete want to be involved a little bit more, give a little bit more, that might be a better thing than, everybody just signs. Here's your, $1,000 check for signing.
Yeah. No, I think you bring up a good point. I don't know. Maybe that's what Fanatics has to do, or would do to be able to contribute to the game use market. I just don't know if they would. I don't know if they really care enough to do it. I
don't know. That's tough. Yeah. I think Leaf. The biggest thing with Leaf is they're not licensed. I don't know if they.
Yeah.
That really. A lot of people don't really want to buy that stuff because of it's not licensed. But they got some really cool stuff in a lot of their products. I know OJ Simpson has some game use stuff in there I've seen and looked at over the past. But not having the license sucks with Leaf. But Leaf always does a really good job of making that effort to go get game use stuff from any sport that they want to produce. And even Upper Deck's really good with that. I think all the hockey stuff is all game worn as well. Like I do kind of miss Upper Deck in football and basketball. They always do a really good job.
Yeah. I will say the only thing I think, or what people have seemed to at least describe, is Panini does a great job with baseball, even though it's not licensed. They do a great job with baseball when it comes to like National Treasures and Flawless. Yeah. Like for some reason they do a good enough job at like trying to make the cards not show the logos necessarily, so that way you kind of hide the look of not having the license, but you still get that feel of owning a piece of the actual game. But again, I don't know enough about that to be like, oh yeah, those are still all game used. I don't know.
A lot of their baseball stuff is really nice. I mean, it's almost like the same design they use, like parallel to the football and to basketball. It's just without logos. Some of them are really nice though. There's some players that I'd like to get that are in Panini that don't really have any game use on card stuff for Topps or Upper Deck. Like I'd like to get those down the line, but it sucks. Some of them, if they don't, like stickers and unlicensed, does not look good at all.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
So Zach, when you're searching for your game use patch autos, do you have a certain player in mind, or is it more of just I'm looking for these old school type players more than the new guys? Like, do you have like your John Elway? Man, I like John Elway. Like for me, even though I'm a Colts fan, I love Dan Marino stuff. I thought, the 80s, 90s Dan Marino jerseys, anything that can be infused in a patch like that, man, I'll buy that all day.
Mhm.
Your Dan or your John Elway patch is like old school jerseys like that seem to me like a no brainer. But is there a certain players that you kind of gravitate more to than others?
A lot of like for my eBay, I have like saved searches for different names for the mainstream products, and then I'll usually a lot of the times I'll look through the Hall of Fame or look up top 100 players of all time, kind of make my way down those lists, get some ideas of who to search for. But all the times, a lot of the players fall into those mainstream searches. Like I have, I've had Joe Montana on my saved search for probably like 2 years, and I haven't been able to pull a trigger. I mean, Neil goes and gives away his Peyton Manning without even telling me to get your Moss.
Yeah, but come on, Jumpman Moss.
That might have been the nicest Moss I've ever seen in my life. Like,
you know what's funny about that? Mikey had 3 of those at one point.
Yeah, my buddy on Instagram was talking to me about that. He's like, this guy's got 3 of these. I just want one of them, but he's like, he wants like $7K for it. I'm like, I mean, it's a nice card, but I don't know if it's worth $7K. And this guy ended up getting 3 of them in like, I don't know, like a month span. And I didn't even see one of them on eBay. Like when it says they came out, I'm like, that might be the nicest Moss I've ever seen.
Mikey's got a lot of connections. He gets a lot of good stuff. I was happy to trade into it, so I felt good.
Yeah, and he told me he's hoarding all those Peyton Manning flawless patch autos. So I'm like, well, there goes my chance.
He's got a ton. He's got a ton
like,
of Peyton Manning.
I feel like he's the son of Black Rose for Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but Mikey will work with you. Black Rose will just charge you 10 times what its value is.
Yeah, I've never offered once on a Black Rose listing. Maybe I did it one time, and the person raised it like $1,000 what I just offered. And I'm like, well, this isn't getting me anywhere. Like that, like God, I can't stand. That's probably the one eBay seller I cannot stand.
I can attest. I think we all are on the hate Black Rose train. Unfortunately,
that's a lady that I actually met at one of the shows, and I'm like, she has no interest in cards, and she has some of the nicest stuff I've ever seen.
She has no interest in cards.
None. She got it from like I think it was her late widow had them all in all these boxes, and she just lists them up for high prices because she doesn't care about money. She just puts them all up there, and it's some of the nicest stuff from the early years of Panini, all game worn stuff. And I mean, you can buy it if you want to, spend the freaking $6,000 for a guy that sells for $1,000. But like, my God, like there's so many stuff on there that you can't even. It's not even worth looking at. Although that chick's listing.
Well, unfortunately, we may just have to wait for that lady to pass, and maybe it'll go down to someone who's going to actually sell it.
I'm waiting for all those auctions to get all those listings just to get put up on auction. You get a fair chance of getting it. Maybe it probably might sell close to what her asking price is, but I don't know.
That would be nuts.
It's crazy.
She probably got 20,000 of those things, and it's all like 2014 to 2016 flawless.
Yeah, like she's got like a certain card of a player. She's that lady's got like maybe like 7 of them, and then like maybe 6 of a different parallel, a couple of the other 3s, like all different kinds, and they're all like $7,000, $7,000, $7,500, $9,500. I'm like, well, can't you just let like one person have something? Like, don't gotta hoard it all. Ugh.
Yeah, she's got more Barry Sanders than I think she knows what to deal with.
Yeah,
that's the one you can never find anymore. Barry Sanders stuff is.
I have an immaculate Barry Sanders myself.
Yeah.
I think I paid $200 for that card, maybe like 4 years ago. And I haven't seen one sell recently. A lot of the stuff I have, it very rarely like pops up on open auction to sell.
It's probably a $15,000 to $2,000 card. I'd probably put it at $2,000.
I think it is. I mean, I wish I could see one pop up just to see what it's worth.
The only thing I've seen is a flawless Barry Sanders, but it doesn't look as nice. It's a plain patch, and that one went for like a little.
That might be the
2,000.
nicest. One of the nicest sets to get a Barry from is that one of those either out of 25 or out of 10. Maybe I don't know if the 101 is a shield or not.
I wish it was.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
I need to buy 2014 Immaculate now.
2015.
Just figure it out.
I think 2015.
Start chasing all of them.
I was almost pulled the trigger last week. There was a Joe Montana flawless dual game used, but it was the Chiefs. It wasn't Niners.
I've been eyeing the Chiefs one a little bit, but the Niners one sells for crazy more than the Chiefs one. I mean,
Yeah.
rightfully so, but man, Montana's probably the one other than Brady is the one quarterback that has eluded me. I can't ever find one that's decently priced. Like I don't really feel like paying $3,000 for a Montana flawless Niners patch.
Oh, I wish there would be one for $3,000.
That's crazy. Like even his Chiefs one, or like I saw the Chiefs one that's really nice, like 3-color dual patch that's graded. It's like the dude sent me an offer like $2,500. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna spend that, I'll take it for a Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
gonna.
with
I
you.
won't spend that on a Chiefs one.
Yeah, no one cares about Chiefs Montana.
Nah, you gotta get Niners.
Washed up.
Yeah, you don't want their next like when you think like Warren Moon, you don't think of Warren Moon with Seattle.
Right.
Like I was able to pick up a Veritex quad Warren Moon patch auto this week. Like I want the old school Oilers jerseys. I don't want him, past his prime. I don't want Peyton Manning Broncos jerseys. Like I want original team stuff. What I remember in.
Yep.
Manning's different though because he kind of won that. He won that Super Bowl at Denver, so I don't know if that kind of plays into the role of people like, well, he won a Super Bowl at Denver, even though kind of was carried by that defense. With Miller
Yes.
and Ware and Malik Jackson, all those guys. But I mean, he did win the Super Bowl there. Obviously, I'll take Manning on the Colts all day long.
Yeah,
the Broncos.
Yeah. So Zach, what are you looking for now? What cards have eluded you other than Montana? What other cards have eluded you that you are still looking to try and get?
Probably Montana is the biggest for quarterback. I mean, I'd like to get a Brady. Other than Terry Bradshaw is a big one for a quarterback that doesn't have very much for on-card stuff. He has a few things here and there. Emmitt Smith is up there. He sells for those damn Cowboys. Like I just picked up a Tony Dorsett today for like $200. And I'm like, I've never seen a Dorsett that cheap in my life for a flawless patch auto. And Emmitt Smith sells for like $1,500, $2,000 for a running back that, I mean, I don't think he's top 10, but he kind of benefited from that O-line and playing with Aikman and Irvin and, Jimmy Johnson, but he's eluded me. I wish I could get a Brian Dawkins game used. He has a few out there from early Upper Deck stuff, sticker autos, but his piece of a game used patch, or maybe it's just a jersey, but he has like nothing for game worn patch autos.
Yeah.
I'd love to get a Dawkins. And then Polamalu is probably, I think Polamalu might be the second biggest need on my list. I want to get a Polamalu super bad.
I think I found a Polamalu, but it was a USC jersey.
Yeah, I saw that. I think those are game used.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has one from like 2020 Immaculate that's with the triple swatches that I showed you, Neil. But I would like to find
don't tell people about that one. Keep that quiet.
What the out of 5 looks like on that, because I have the Jared Allen just from that set, and those are nasty patches from that one.
Yeah.
I had one of the Jared Allen Immaculate, it was all kind of chewed up. I think one player who I see a ton of that has a lot of game use stuff is Ozzie Newsome.
Yeah, I have
a lot of Browns Ozzie Newsome. I had the a triple patch Immaculate that had blood in the white stain.
Ooh, yeah.
That was, that's a perfect card. A lot of guys that I see that I enjoy, looking and trying to pick up, or that I feel that are super, super cheap, are guys like Champ Bailey, Darrell Revis.
Yeah.
You can pick those up for less than $200 all day long. And I think that's a better value long-term. Champ Bailey, Hall of Famer, Darrell Revis, one of the greatest corners of all time.
Yeah. Revis has a lot of game worn stuff out there you can find.
Yeah. So picking that stuff up for pretty cheap, I like trying to do that if I can. I'm even trying to find, or not trying to find, but I see a ton of it of Immaculate Chris Johnson. There's a lot of Immaculate Chris Johnson patches out there that are pretty nasty, and he doesn't get the love that he deserves either. So if you pick it up cheap,
okay, that guy was great in fantasy football.
Electric. Absolutely electric.
That guy was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He ruined a lot. He ruined a lot of people's Sundays, and he made a lot of people's Sundays in fantasy.
Yes, he did. He was always a beast back in the day.
I'm still not willing to give that guy $25 for the triple patch game used Dwayne Bowe jersey though.
$25? Why not?
25
That's what I'm
cheap.
telling him. $25. Stop. Take it.
At $25, I'm like, hey man, just bring it down to 20 and we're good. Or
So what's the difference between why wouldn't you just pay the extra $5? What's the difference of saving $5?
Because I'm gonna get hit with the eBay fees, and that's why we use MySlabs. Go to myslabs.com.
Well, I've kind
Great
of
plug right there, Caleb. Great plug.
I've had a little bit of luck of like asking sellers to, if the listing gets listed and it's a card I want, messaging them directly of an offer I would have and see if they would sell it off of eBay. And I've had a lot of luck with that recently. But if you offer them, kind of fair dollar, you don't like lowball them.
Yeah,
they'll work with you. If you give them your Instagram or whatever, they'll be like, all right, I'll work with you. You send it me direct. We can save each other fees and taxes. Now I'll go that route all the time if they're willing to.
Yeah, I've gotten to do a lot of deals like that, especially when because eBay says they're always looking at your messages when you send it. So you got to kind of like space out your Instagram handle. And then, I've gotten a lot of deals done doing that, a lot of Steelers stuff done, a lot of guys I follow on Instagram. So that's a good way to do it. It's just, you get hit with eBay keeps pushing the fees. Then depending on what state you're in, then you get hit with the taxes. And it's just like, I bought this $25 card. Now I'm spending $50.
Yeah, eBay crazy. Like that whole tax stuff kind of sucked because it wasn't as bad without the taxes, but then on top of the taxes, and some sellers charge like $15 for shipping on a $100 card. I'm like, just send it $4, $5, first class, and I'm good. You don't need to spend.
Now they're starting. I believe they're raising shipping costs, so shipping's going to be like $4 or more just for first class normal stuff, and it's
ridiculous.
Remember when I started out, shipping was like $3, and now
it was like $2.75, and they gave you $1 off.
And you think that I can ship through an envelope. I don't want my card shipped through no envelope. I want a bubble tracker and just like keep it tight. But
have y'all ever had a card show up to you damaged or not as listed? If the way somebody shipped it?
Yes.
Yeah. I had
it happen like one time, but I've
never had one damaged in transit.
And now we have a sponsor for that. So if you use gradedship.com, perfect place to ship your cards with don't have the handle in it here, but that's why people should use that, especially if you're, if you care about buying and selling and you want to be legit in the community. You have to take so much care in shipping your stuff. Like the worst thing, you can never trust the post office, FedEx, UPS with shipping anything. Because you see how those guys treat packages. They're on the truck all day. Just toss it. And if you got $2,500 card and it gets run over or something like that, and then you get the message, well, the guy wants refunded, and you're like, what the heck happened? So, the more time and care you can put into shipping and as safe as you can make that card by shipping it as cheap as possible, the better for you and for the long term of you in the hobby.
Yeah, USPS is hard to trust. Like maybe like 2 weeks ago, one of my buddies bought a Barry Sanders Tools of the Trade patch auto, and I don't know if it got damaged in transit, but it showed up without the card in it, and it was just a bunch of used jewelry parts that were in place of the Barry Sanders. And that's terrible. Like people in the post office, like when I used to work for FedEx, I've seen people steal packages and shit like that. Like that's not cool at all. When a package gets damaged and you see that's a valuable card and you're just gonna switch it out with something, like that's not cool at all. Like
now, especially with the hobby getting bigger and bigger, and you see now it's like you can't scroll through Instagram without seeing a sports card shop getting hit, or you see during the retail craze, people fighting over cards at Walmart.
Someone got shot,
and like you said, Zach, like if if you know that the hobby craze is getting bigger and bigger, and you're working at one of these places and you see, a package from, Panini or somebody who has their shipper handle as, let's say, Showtime Sports Cards or something like that,
Yeah.
that might be one of those where it's yoink.
Yeah.
So that's what sucks about the hobby. And I think most of that is, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, is greed and the influx of the sneaker community.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
They
so
try
many.
to
There's so many,
finagle their way around the sneakers all the time.
Sneakers. Like, the sneaker people don't even want to be here. They're just here for,
The quick flip.
the money.
Money.
They're no interest in cards whatsoever.
No,
They're here for the money.
it's almost like the Gary V type of, I'm in it for 6 months and then I'm going to go do something else and I'm going to come back to it and then I'm going to do something else and then I'm going to do some NFTs and then have my own brand of cards that look absolutely trash and then I'm going to pump Giannis again.
Those things are.
Can you believe that V-Friends stuff?
That's just one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. Who would want to spend money on that? That's like Panini doing like all the digital stuff. Like, who wants a digital version of a card that you can trade digitally, but you can't own it physically?
Yeah, your blockchains. Oh.
Yeah, like what's the deal with it? And then all the hype beats that come in the hobby, and it's just like you open up your Instagram and your story, and it's just nonstop about these big time celebrities or hype beasts. I'm like, I just want to see cards that I want to like. I don't care about the hobby drama.
Yeah,
like, it's so annoying with it. You open up your story and it's just like hypebeast. Oh, cool card, hypebeast. I'm like, God, we just want to see the cards.
I find it really weird that the first product Zero Cool decides to go with is a product from Gary V that basically emulates NFTs. So like, if you're almost trying to transition the card market into this virtual world, and then when you get Gary V's clan involved, then you got people who are shilling up boxes, shilling up cards, trying to pump and dump all this stuff, and it's kind of like, it needs some regulation, but it needs accountability too. And I think from us collectors, there's some accountability, but like, there's a lot of people out there who are just here to just take the money. And it's just
all about the money.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's one. So, and I've sent this to you and Squints and Robbie's a bunch. There's a YouTube page and there's a podcast too, Sports Card Radio. And that guy tells it basically how it is, the scumbags in the hobby, the Marks cards, he's really on, Mojo and Sasha and guys like that. And even Ryan getting tied up in the Marks card thing. And
that situation, I feel bad for everybody involved.
What a nightmare. And then you have Jeff, the sports card investor, who's, he wanted everybody to buy into Select. Select crashed. He wanted to do NFTs. His NFTs crashed. Like he's like 0-10 on everything that he's wanted everybody to really get involved with. So, guys like that who think that they know the market really don't know anything.
They've not been in it long enough to know anything. They're in it for the money. They're just gonna crash at some point. It's like a lot of these base cards aren't gonna be going up and up and up. And that's the whole thing with the grading. Everybody wants to send those all in. Then it's a big backhaul with it, and now everything's worthless for all the base stuff. I'm just glad I don't deal with any really graded at all. There's that. I mean, it's to each their own, but it's just I just try to avoid it. I feel like I'm in the minority. I would crack a black label if it's a card I really like. I would crack it, but that's just me. I just don't care for graded.
Yeah,
I like everything all in magnetics.
I enjoy one touch with my mag sticker on the top of it. I think that looks nice. And then it comes up, and then Neil buys a card from some guy that I sold it to, and he's just like, "So where'd this card come from?" I'm like, "I sold that like a week ago. How did you get that?"
Hey, sometimes you just you're looking to put together an entire NFL team, and Looks like Caleb's helping out the team a little bit.
You could have
He's
just
do you
bought a
bought
little
guys-
bit
do
of
you
a
guys
supporting
put your-
cast.
Do you guys put your cards in, perfect fit sleeves or like to protect the cases, or do you leave them? Do you leave your like mags or cases raw, and you don't let them get all scratched up?
For my no, I put mine all in one touch sleeves.
Yeah, that's what
Unless, especially if I bought brand new mags. If I bought a lot of already used mags, don't really care about that. But if I'm buying the mags straight from the manufacturer or whatever, I like everything to look pristine, bagged up, stuff like that. Especially my high end, game worn stuff. Like I want everything to look good at all times, in order. So I'm kind of anal about all that. I got 3 cases next to me, one for graded, one for magged cards, one for raw cards, just like in order, just so my OCD can take over that way.
I think I'm along the lines of you, where you like your game worn stuff in one touches, but I'm not gonna crack anything out of like a 9 or better. I'm probably gonna keep it. But like I had an Austin Eckler that I bought as like a PSA 6, and I just cracked that out.
Yeah.
There's no reason to hold that in a PSA holder. It looks stupid.
I remember that.
I don't think it just looks better in a mag. I mean, graded's cool. I would never send any of my cards in to get graded. Like I just would be nervous the entire time. Like, where are my cards?
There's some tangibility that I think can be appreciated with game worn cards. Like you can physically hold the card in the hand, you can take it out, you can touch the little patch, and feel like you're a part of the actual game. I think the tangibility being in one touch makes it so much better.
I always stay away, because you'll never have luck with grading thicker cards. So all the Immaculates, Flawless, NTs, unless I'm buying it graded, I'm never going to go get it graded. The only thing that I'm starting to, and I'm obviously sticking straight SGC because that's, all us normal people can afford.
They look good. The black looks good on the card.
The tuxedo look is not bad, but I'm just grading, cards. Like I opened a box of 99 Bowman's Best football and get some refractors of like Steve McNair and Dante Culpepper. Like I kind of want that stuff graded because it looks cool. Neil, I did crack that PSA Charizard that they gave me a 5 on.
Yeah.
Sent that to SGC, so we'll see what the crossover
It'd be funny if it comes back like an SGC 10.
Yeah, if it does, F Panini.
Well, I think with
100%.
PSA, at least they do all the the same color labels no matter what the grade. BGS, like you get like a 6, it's like a white piece of paper, or if it's a 9, 10, the silver and gold, it just doesn't look that good.
Yeah, I wish they did a little more with that.
No.
SGC
has
has
a little more.
If you get a flawless 10 on SGC, you get a gold label. I've gotten one. It was a Justin Herbert base card.
I've seen those. I think that's good to like be able to distinguish like the black label of a BGS, like 10-10-10. Like
for sure.
10.
For sure, the rarity of a black label.
Yeah, I think that's good. Getting a gold label on a SGC 10 I think that's good. I wish PSA would be like, I don't know, make a blacked out border PSA or something.
Yeah, but now it's so hard to get PSA 10s the way that they've switched up grading. Like, we sent that
unless
order.
you're doing bulk.
Yeah, unless you're doing
bulk, then
if you're doing bulk and you're doing it from a major collector, or not collector, but guy who sends their stuff in.
Yeah,
like sending a group sub or whatever.
Yeah,
like it's a PSA approved group subber.
But then if you do that, you run into the possible Mark's card situation.
Yeah, I hope that PSA has that stuff figured out. I haven't submitted stuff for grading in a while. I've thought about it, just with like all the Aaron Donalds that I have. But
your Donald collection's fantastic. I have an on-card auto of Donald, but he's another guy I wish I could find game used of.
He has none.
That dude's I wish he had game used.
We last year our group of Aaron Donald collectors that we have on Instagram, the leader, Nick, AD99 Super Collector, He sent a email to PSA and got on the phone with the reps from PSA to try to make a Kaboom Aaron Donald, and then they did it this year. So we're trying to get him to go back on and maybe get a game worn jersey or something.
If game used patch auto of Aaron Donald, like my God, like I feel like that would go crazy.
I'd probably own all of them.
You probably would. I'd be probably out of the market on getting one. I'd probably have to end up trading you my Reggie White just to get one.
I mean, probably could work something out.
Yeah, like that. Aaron Donald. I got a Chandler Jones flawless patch in the mail today. Game used with the Cardinals like name logo in it. He's another guy that doesn't have very much game used stuff at all, and I think he's a Hall of Fame player. Or he's on that trajectory to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep. He's got one Super Bowl with Patriots?
With the Patriots.
I think so, yeah. He won.
Yeah. I thought he did.
Yeah. And his brother does a lot of coke, punches people in the face.
Hey, John Jones.
Gotta do what you gotta do, I mean.
But that Chandler's brother is actually John Jones. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and then his older brother is Arthur Jones, who was with the Ravens.
Yep. He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, didn't he?
He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, came to the Colts for a season or two and was awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. That whole family is stacked.
Just
talented.
ginormous
athletes.
I think John's the smallest one out of all.
John's 6'5".
Yeah. And he's
Arthur's
the smallest.
6'7",
the smallest. 6'5", the smallest. That dude's massive for the smallest.
They're all freakish athletes.
Yeah.
So, a couple final questions here, Zach. If there's one card, your holy grail game use patch auto, what card would that be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Damn.
To complete your collection, if you had one card that you wanted to have, what card would that be?
That like by the immediate thought, not game used, is Ken Griffey Jr. Mickey Mantle dual autograph is like my holy grail for cards. But for like, game used, football wise, I'd like I guess a Brady. I mean, I would kill for a Brady flawless patch auto. There's a holy grail, but I guess that's like unattainable right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
go buy yourself a lottery ticket. You might get a chance.
Yeah, like a lottery ticket's not gonna win. I've tried to do lottery tickets every now and then. You don't win anything. I think there was a guy that won, like that was in my town that won a big time, like $500 million lottery ticket. I'm like, well, goddamn it, I should have bought one over there and then one of their gas stations. You'll say that you get a lottery ticket won by you. It's like, why didn't I go buy one? Like, well, I don't know. It's tough. Game used. I have most of the players in football that I would want, but there's a lot of the older guys that'd be really cool to get as well. I mean, I'd like to get a Lombardi cut, or like some sort of Lombardi signed. But I mean, football, I have most of the players. I guess, I mean, that's tough. What's your holy grail, Neil?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Me first?
Yeah, both of you. Like whoever wants to go first.
Probably have three, if I can.
Three.
Yeah, I would have three. If I could achieve one of the three, it would be set. Number one, Aaron Donald game used patch auto, shield auto.
Well, yeah, the shield.
Which probably will never happen. Number two, a Jim Brown shield auto. And then number three, which there are some out there, Brady shield auto.
Does Brown even have a shield made?
I don't think he does. I think it's purely just jersey and patches.
I know I've seen several tags, but I've never seen an actual shield.
No.
My God, that'd be crazy.
It would be. I don't even know if they had shields back then that were on the jerseys.
No, they did not.
I didn't think so.
So it would probably have to be like a Wilson logo or something.
Even something like that. If you had a Wilson logo or a Puma logo, that would have been like 98. Before a Reebok logo, you see a lot of that stuff on Peyton Manning stuff. Did Walter Payton ever have any on-card stuff? Or was he gone?
Has one. He has.
Yes, he's got one.
Old Upper Deck jersey autograph.
Yep.
On cards.
Empire
I saw one
State.
at the National for like 40 G's. The guy.
Yeah.
Won.
No, there was one on Golden. that I was bidding on.
Was it a
I want to
patch?
say the last auction that went for like maybe like 15K, something like
Mhm.
that,
It's just
which I think
like
is really
the-
cheap.
I think it's
'Cause-
just jersey, isn't it?
Yes, it's just a plain jersey, but
Those
it's
are
only
nice.
numbered to 34. So there's
Yeah.
only 34 made. There's another person who has one on Instagram, Empire State Cards. He's got one. It's an 8.510. Same plain patch, but I think he wanted like 18,000 or something for it.
That's
maybe.
a crazy. That's a crazy card.
I
guess
think the
like
only
now,
reason why it's worth that much is just because
He doesn't
Walter
have
doesn't
anything.
have anything. So
no,
and
he
he's
has
dead.
a ton of 3-color patches out there, but he has no patch autos. I guess if I had to pick my holy grail for football, it'd probably be a Marshawn Lynch Shield auto if I could ever find one. He's always been my favorite. He's the player that made me a Seahawks fan. When he got drafted out of Cal to Buffalo, and then Seattle made that trade, and they should have handed the ball off to him at the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Instead of throwing the ball on the 1 yard line, because they didn't want, Mr. I'm not here so I don't get fined to get the Super Bowl MVP, but he's the best running back in the league. That at that time he was the best running back.
Yep.
Like
Hey,
That would be
Chris was
cool.
in the game during that play.
He was.
He was.
God, I don't know.
He straight up tackled Malcolm Butler.
He straight up tackled Malcolm Butler. He did. I would love to have a shield of Brian Dawkins, but instead of him signing Brian Dawkins, I would want him to sign Weapon X.
He's got one of those nicknames where he signed Weapon X, but he only put Weapon X. He didn't sign his actual name. He just
That would
wrote
be-
the nickname.
That would be dope for me because my entire football career, that's kind of how I emulated my game, was after him. And to have
Dawkins is nuts.
to have something like that to be signed Weapon X, to me, that's cooler than having him sign B-Doc, because that's basically what his signature is.
I'd take a Dawkins signed football where he put Weapon X. Dawkins you watch highlights of that guy, Mike, that I would be scared as hell to go catch a ball around Dawkins. That dude would light me up, break my ribs.
That's
No, like
Michael
that-
Vick, what he did to Michael Vick running into
my
the end zone, what he
God.
did to Algie Crumpler going across the middle. Like, he would pick dudes up off the ground or jump over everybody and spread his wings and tackle people.
I think that's the biggest thing I admit I don't like about football is you can't there's never going to be a player like Dawkins anymore because of the rules in the game. You
Yeah.
can't hit players like that. I understand it because of safety, but I wish you had guys like Dawkins and Polamalu and Ray Lewis running around the fields headhunting. Those are always like I wish they'd still allow that, because that would make it a lot of the players where the quarterback actually has to make sure that ball's thrown perfectly over the middle, or you're leaving your receiver out there like
to get Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Exactly. And there's very few slot guys that would want to go over the middle of the field. They don't like Welker was one of the few of them. Edelman. I mean, Steve Smith was big time, guy to go over the middle of the field, take those big hits. But there's just the rules are so offensively driven that you can't really play defenses like you used to.
Yeah, that was the generation that turned NFL into flag football.
Yeah, you can't play bump and run coverage. You can't play press coverage hardly. You can't hand fight being a DB. You can't, smoke anybody across the middle. Like, that's, how you would send a message as a defense. Like, if the ball's in the vicinity, you're getting hit.
Well,
now,
what you do now, which is worse, I think, sometimes,
is go for the knees.
You go for the knees.
Yeah.
Which just ends people's career.
I'd rather get hit in the ribs or around, the shoulder area than get hit in the knees, because you don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
At least if you get knocked unconscious, you don't feel it. But if you get your knee exploded, you're going to feel every second of it.
I honestly wish you could hit the quarterback a little more than what you can do now. It's like you have to rush the passer, and then it's like a lot of the times, these D linemen are going so full speed at guys. The quarterback lets the ball out, half a second before they get there. They got to stop all their momentum right away, or they're going to get a 15-yard penalty. That's just prone for
so ticky-tacky. It depends on what referee's calling the game.
I mean, if it's Brady, it's roughing the passer every time. Rodgers roughing the passer every time. But
Manning just went to the ground before they hit him.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Ryan Tannehill, they're not going to care. It's going to be one of their big stars. They're going to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Zach, thank you again for, joining us for this hour. And if you could go ahead and take some time, let people know where they can see your collection, how they can follow you, how they can, try to buy some things from you too.
I'm not an often seller, but I only really sell if I see an upgrade of stuff. If there's I have a card that, might not have as great of a patch, or if I find one that's, a lot nicer, then I'll look to upgrade. Or like, I think the biggest purchase I ever made, I purchased a Hank Aaron Dynasty patch auto, and I sold a lot of stuff to, get into that card. So it didn't cost me really anything out of pocket. That's what I'll do for bigger cards. But most of the time, I like to trade more than selling. I think trading is a lost art now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to, work out a deal for a trade. Like, trading is kind of what is the fun part of the hobby instead of just selling. Like, I love trading. If both sides leave happy, you get something that you want, they get something that they want. Everybody leaves happy.
For sure. So, what's your main social media? Is it Instagram?
Pretty much just Instagram, yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Follow 5-Star Collector on Instagram. You see me and Neil share his stuff all the time. Once again, I got to thank our sponsors, MySlabs. That's www.myslabs.com. Go ahead and buy and sell all your slabbed cards, slabbed comic books, sealed wax for only up to almost 1% fees. They got raw cards now, 3%, and lots that are 6%. Got to protect your slabs. So go to slabsaver.com. protectyourslabs.com. Use the code DREAM3 to get 10% off your order. Graded Card Solutions, like we said, don't trust the people that are delivering and shipping your cards. Take that into your own hands. Go to gradedship.com. Use code DREAM15 to get 15% off your order. And if you are a big golf fan, check out our friends at nationgolfcompany.com. We'll be back at it next week. Once again, thank you, Zach, 5-Star Collector, for joining us on the podcast. We'll probably be back next week. We'll see if we got another guest or just be me and Neil solo. But until then, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Give us a like, share. Look at the ways to listen to the podcast: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Until next time, boys, we will see you later.